Hello guys, 15-year-old Aline Roberts defeated Grandmaster Vyacheslav Ikonikov to win the prestigious German Open tournament. It was this game against Ikonikov, and of course we should remember that Aline played it with black, and because of her aggressive style, many are already dubbing her the next Judith Polgar. At least she is the next big thing in female chess. So let us see how she played with black pieces against the veteran grandmaster. A very interesting game full of many turns and twists. So d4. Ikonikov begins with d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, e6, qb3. So, Aline has chosen to play semi-Slav, against which Ikonikov has chosen a little known sideline. I think the reason is that Aline has a good reputation for her opening preparation, and Ikonikov wanted to take her out of preparation early in the game. dc4, queen c4, b5, queen d3, a6, bishop g5. Nothing remarkable so far. These are all quite established textbook moves. Bishop b7, e4, h6, bishop h4, c5. Now Aline chooses the most aggressive continuation here, and white replies with e5. It's also possible to reply with d5, but he chooses e5. Now g5 is the only possible continuation here. Knight g5, hg5, bishop g5, c4. Aline attacks the queen. Queen d2, knight bd7. Of course, it's not possible to save the pinned knight, so she continues with the development. ef6. And now that the dust has settled, we find that white is 2 pawns up. He has regained the piece and he is 2 pawns up, but black has a very dynamic compensation for the sacrificed pawns, and it is a very interesting fight where black will go for aggressive options and continuations, and white will try to defend and reach a satisfactory endgame. b4, knight a4. Now this looks like the first mistake. The engine suggests that nd1 is a much better option, and nf4 is likely to land white in trouble. Now why nd1 is better here? The reason is that from nd1, knight d1, it can progress to knight e3, which is, and here on knight a4 it is subjected to attack by bishop black pieces. So let's see how she continues. c3, the best continuation here. She further goes for attacking the queen side. The idea is to rip apart the queen side and catch the white king in the center. So of course it is not possible to take the pawn here. The reason is that if white goes for pawn takes pawn, then queen a5 is very strong here. And now this knight is in trouble, and whatever is played here, let us say knight c5, then pawn takes pawn, queen c2, knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, and rook c8. It's very strong here. So it's not possible to take the pawn. So queen e3. White goes for queen e3, knight b6, b3. Now again, this is a big mistake here. in the opening. The reason is that after knight takes knight, which is of course played here, pawn takes knight. Now this c3 pawn is an unchallenged passed pawn, and it is a very strong asset for black. White cannot challenge it easily. Queen b6, a very interesting and logical continuation. Now black wants to target this weak central pawn d4, bishop f4, rook d8. Black continues with the strategy of targeting the central pawn. Bishop e5, of course white has to defend it somehow. b3, now this is a hasty decision by Aline. Now instead of b3, she ought to have continued with something like c2 first, because say suppose white replies with rc1. Now b3 is very strong. The reason is that now it is possible to play bishop b4 with a check, but instead she goes for b3, a b3, queen b3, bishop d3. Now this is the difference here. It's not possible to give the check. Bishop h6, queen g3, king d7. Now black is planning to safeguard her king, and in some variations it is also possible for the king to land in queen side. Rook b1, queen d5, of course the only move, otherwise the bishop on b7 is in danger. f3, bishop d2, king f2, bishop c6, queen g7. And now this pawn on f7 is in serious danger. Rook f7, rook b8, a brilliant move. Now it is not possible for black to take this rook, because if he goes for say rook takes rook, then queen takes pawn check, king d8, queen e7 check, king c8, and queen c7 checkmate. So of course the rook is very much safe here, and queen e2. Now this is a nice trick, and in many cases it can be very useful, very successful, particularly when white is in time pressure. The idea here is that if white is careless and goes for rook takes rook, then this bishop e3, this sacrifice is very effective here, because king takes bishop and queen d2 is checkmate here. And even if white does not take the bishop and goes for say king g3, then queen f2, king g4, queen h4 is made. So this rook on f8 is safe, and white cannot go for rook. So instead of that, he goes for king g3, bishop e3, again the same idea. So it has to be defended, the f2 square, rook f1, queen a3. Now black defend the rook on f8, queen h8. Now the most unfortunate move, because of which white loses all the advantage. Now after this unfortunate move, white is losing all the advantage. Instead of queen takes rook, a simple move was much better, and that move was bishop takes pawn. The idea here is that if black plays something like say queen takes pawn here, then white plays bishop c8 check, and rook takes bishop, queen takes pawn check, king d8, and bishop c7 is made. So something like this would have been very effective, but unfortunately Ikonikov threw away all the advantage with this move, queen takes h8. So rook h8, rook h8, bishop d4. This is the brilliant tactical shot which I think Ikonikov must have overlooked. Now it is not possible to take bishop takes bishop because queen d6 check and black regains the bishop with big advantage. So she goes for bishop f4, bishop takes pawn, rook h7, king e7. Now, of course, black can easily defend everything. Bishop g6, bishop e8, rook b1, e5, bishop c1, queen d6. And still, it is possible for white to survive here if you play something like, say, bishop e4. But now, Ikonikov makes the last mistake, and that is bishop takes pawn. Now here white is getting a pawn, he is winning a pawn, but still it's a very bad decision positionally, because after winning this pawn, the position is simplified totally in black's favor. And now the black queen can easily overpower the two white rooks. Bishop takes bishop, rook b7 check, king e6, rook bf7, queen d1, and now this queen is too powerful. Bishop a3, queen takes pawn, bishop c1, queen a1, bishop e3, queen e1 check, bishop f2, queen d2, rook c7, c2, rook c6, king f5. And now here Ikonikov resigned because it's not possible to stop the c2 pawn without severe material loss.